Hey everybody, hope you guys are healthy and safe. So this is the Tecno Camon 17 Pro. This is the latest flagship from Tecno, and Tecno is a Chinese phone brand that sells mostly in Africa. In fact, they are Africa's #1 phone brand. So Tecno managed to reach the top of Africa's sales charts by basically offering relatively good specs at an affordable price and after sales service too, because in Africa they actually have a lot of brick and mortar stores, so people can go into the stores, check out the phones for themselves and buy the phones there. And if something goes wrong with the phone, they can take it back to the store, which adds a extra ease of mind to consumers instead of ordering online. So anyway, the Tecno Camon 17 Pro sells for $300 US. Now that's a little bit high for the African market, but this is also Tecno's top tier phone of this series. There is a lower tier model, without the Pro, that sells for a little bit less. So for $300, you do get, reasonable specs. You have a 6.8-inch LCD panel with a 90 Hertz refresh rate. Animations look pretty smooth. Resolution is 1080 by 2460. You have a small hole punch here housing a 48 megapixel selfie camera. And around the back, you have a 64 megapixel main camera that actually grabs surprisingly solid images and an 8 megapixel ultra wide angle camera. Inside you have a 5000 mAh battery, which considering this is only a 90 Hertz panel means 5000 mAh is going to give it all day battery life. You're getting at least 6 hours of screen on time with this thing. And the chip is a Helio G95. Now Helio G95 is a 12 nanometer chipset from MediaTek, and it's not quite a flagship chip, but it's not a budget or entry level chip too. It's like upper mid tier. I did run the chip through Geekbench and the scores are okay. It's not gonna blow your socks off, but this is enough for basically to run any game in the Google Play Store in here perfectly fine, and also day-to-day usage like using Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, WeChat, absolutely no problem. Now construction is pretty nice. The back of the phone is made of plastic, but it's coated with this metallic finish, kind of like the LG G3, so it's a plastic back that doesn't feel like plastic. Now because this is an LCD panel, there is no in-display fingerprint reader. Instead, the fingerprint reader is on the side, on the right side, right in the middle, so it's actually very fast and very accurate. You just have to put your finger on it and it lights up. And at the bottom, you have a headphone jack. In fact, with the packaging, you get earphones out of the box too, along with a jelly case. You also have stereo speakers on this phone, and the sound is it's respectable. It's a little bit flat, but it does get pretty loud, and you are getting sound output from both sides. Now the phone runs Android 11 with Tecno's Android skin on top. It's called HiOS and it's in version 7.6. For the most part, HiOS looks pretty clean, animations, everything are pretty smooth. You have, Google search bar at the home screen. App icons are okay, they're not too garish. And when you swipe from the top, you get a notification shade with all the shortcut toggles. One thing they do different from just about any other Android phone is you swipe up to bring up the app tray, right? But then when you swipe back down, you cannot close the app tray. You have to swipe from the sides to close the app tray. Now, if you swipe from the sides and hold, you actually bring up this useful shortcut bar that, you can store apps here, shortcuts, all of that. I wish other Android phones would put this feature in the phone because it's just useful to have a little shortcut menu that can pop up anytime you want. And I think the swipe and hold gesture is quite intuitive to trigger, and not every phone takes advantage of that. Okay, now let's look at the camera really quick. So there are 4 cameras here, but the bottom 2 are those useless 2 megapixel macro and depth sensor that they're just gimmicks. So really just look at this phone as a dual camera system. 64 megapixel main camera, 8 megapixel ultra wide. Like I said, for the most part, the main camera captures solid images, while the ultra wide camera is quite soft on details. So this is 4K 30 footage. It's handling dynamic range okay, but there is no stabilization at all. Okay, so this is selfie camera footage shot with the Tecno Camon 17 Pro. This camera app is also a little bit complicated to use. So you see you have a bunch of menus that you cycle left and right just to go through, and then you also swipe up to bring up more menu. But I do like this shortcut gesture. Watch, when I swipe down, I can bring this bar down closer to my thumb reach. It's a one-hand mode inside the camera app. I think other phones should adopt this feature. For the most part, camera performance is solid, decent, nothing amazing. So I think for 300 bucks, it's an okay deal. Basically, if you look at it from my perspective, I live in a really good city for smartphones. In Hong Kong, you get everything. So for $300, I have much better options from Realme or Redmi, because those brands are from bigger companies. Realme's from Oppo, Redmi's from Xiaomi. You have much better software support because they're backed by huge companies. Now Tecno, it's not a tiny company, but it's nowhere on the scale of an Oppo or Xiaomi. So because of that, I don't know if this software is going to get updated. However, like I said at the beginning though, this phone caters to the African market. And if you're in Africa, you don't have access to Poco devices or Redmi or Realme. Instead, you have access to what you are able to see on the street. And for a lot of people in places like Ghana and Nigeria, that would be Tecno smartphones. And I think for them, the ease of mind of having after-sales service like warranty, repairs, all that plays a big part in why the brand is so popular. And so if you live out in Africa and your options are either this or budget Samsung or Nokia devices, this is probably a better value. It gives you more bang for your buck. So anyway, that's about it for this hands-on of the Tecno Camon 17 Pro. It's a really slow month, but it's gonna get exciting very soon. I'm gonna get my hands on the Honor Magic 3 and also the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 3. I don't know when I'm gonna get them yet, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get them either right after the launch or a couple of days after launch. So if you're interested in keeping up to date with all the latest smartphones, please consider subscribing to my channel or follow me on Instagram at Ben's Gadget Reviews. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.